Hey everyone, welcome back to the food channel. So today we're going to be preparing one of the simplest things in the world. This is an Aldi's Kirkwood brand all natural Peking duck. Um, I'm going to do it without the sauce because obviously, as I've told you guys before, I don't like to eat a lot of sugar. Bad for my ketovore, carnivore diet. But I'm going to show you just how simple this is to make. So one of the first things I recommend is do the work, the prep work, the cleaning and everything in your sink. Do not, and I see this all the time, okay? I see people laying the food and the meat directly in their sink. Do not do that. Put a clean pan in there. Do it from the pan. That way you don't cross-contaminate any of the surfaces in the sink. Also, no matter how clean you think your sink is, it's not clean enough to put you or your family's food in. Okay? So, I'm going to get some kitchen scissors and we'll get started. Incredibly easy though to make this. I'm going to show you just how easy. When you buy the duck, it'll be frozen from Aldi's. What you want to do is thaw it out for a couple of days in the refrigerator. Now I'm just going to tip it over in the next sink. Make sure any of that extra liquid drains out of the bag. I've already preheated my oven to 350 degrees. I'll be roasting it in the oven. Let me give it a little better snip here. And yes, I realize I laid my kitchen scissors there, and I will decontaminate that surface when I'm done. And then pull it out of the bag. We still have some residual juices. I'll dump those in the other sink. You can see, put this over there, you can see that in the duck, it comes with its neck still attached. All we're going to do is we're going to trim this up like so. Do not throw this away. Makes excellent turkey stock. We can boil that, have some nice broth from that. We can use it, pull the meat off of it and boil it and put it in stuffing or dressing. There's a lot of things we can do with that. This is the Peking sauce packet. I'm not going to worry about that for now. Just going to look inside the body cavity, make sure that there's nothing else in there. Going to go ahead and drain any of those residual juices. Now, I'm just going to use the back of my hand to turn on my faucet. I'll still decontaminate that, but I just want to make sure any remaining ice particles or anything that was left in the duck when it was prepared at the package is cleaned off. You also want to check it for feathers, and make sure that you take those feathers out as well. Some people will actually cut off the tail. I'll leave that on, but I am going to trim up a little bit where there's some excess feather quills here. I'm just going to cut that off so that my finished duck looks better. Anything that I feel that's rough, I'll take that off. And again, after I'm done, I'm going to make sure that every surface I touched has been cleaned. And drain him one more time. He's ready. So now I'm going to turn off the water. Get your roasting pan. I just have a very simple roasting pan here. I've already got a wire rack in that. You want to lift the bird, the duck, above the surface of the pan because you want the skin to get nice and crispy and golden brown. You don't want the duck to sit in its own juices because that will That will make it soggy. Then you're going to place your duck, and you can use twine if you want, but you'll place your duck right in the roasting pan. I am probably not going to use any twine. However, what I am going to do, I'm going to wash my hands so that I can get my spices. Always cook it breast side up. So I'm going to grab some paper towels now. I'm going to dry my hand with the paper towels, but I'm going to save these, and I'll show you why. We want to try to make the skin as dry as possible, and I just introduced water into the duck by rinsing it in my sink. So I've dried my hands with this. I'll just save that for a second while I go and get my spices down. And I think for this one I'm gonna do a combination of black pepper, truffle, salt, a little smoked paprika. That's my oven preheated, beeping. So we've got our table grind black pepper. You guys see that? Got some smoked paprika. I've got some coarse sea salt and some truffle salt. So now all we're gonna do, I'm gonna open up all my spice containers. Again, super easy. Oops, sorry, I bumped the camera. Super easy. Just kind of have to think through it, but it's really simple. And I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm going to blot the duck. I'm going to make sure that I remove as much of this moisture as possible from the skin. We want a nice crispy skin. That's part of the allure, the deliciousness that comes from roasting a duck in the oven. And again, I could twine this, but I'm not preparing it for anyone else. I'm just preparing it for myself. I'm not gonna be fancy. I'm not trying to be fancy. If you wanted though to tie it up, you could certainly do that. Make it a little bit more presentable. All right. Now that I've got that dried off, dispose of this. Give my hands another rinse. And then I'm just going to start liberally applying my seasoning. Now this salt, the coarse salt, will help draw out some of that moisture. Go ahead and rub it in, and I recommend using one hand for the dirty work, one hand for the clean work. Clean work being I'm touching my seasoning containers with the one hand that hasn't touched the raw duck. Go ahead and get some inside. If you want, flip it over. Give that a good shake. And give him a little duck massage here. Rub that salt into the skin as much as you can. Now I'm going to follow up with my pepper. And you know, you can stuff things inside of it if you'd like. I mean, you have any apples? Apples and celery are nice to stuff in the body cavity if you want. Some people stuff orange in there. You know, really the possibilities are kind of limitless with what you want to stuff inside. I'm not going to stuff anything in this guy though. I'm gonna hit it with some paprika now. Flip this guy over. Make sure you get as much of it as you can. Give it a really nice flavor as it roasts. Very, very easy. Do not be afraid of this. And if you're a person that has texture issues with touching, raw meat, then obviously, you can wear a glove when you do this. Again, remember, you have your cleaner hand. You have your dirty hand, the hand that is touching the duck. Now, something I am going to do is, as this cooks, I will baste it a little bit. But it's really dependent on how the color of the skin looks. Now, let me wash my hands again. I've got to get some aluminum foil. Show you another little trick. Easy to do. This guy weighs about 5 pounds, so I will be roasting it for a half hour each pound, so for about 2.5 hours. And then the instructions say to roast it at 350 degrees, but I like to do 375 for about the first half hour to an hour. What that does is it removes any excess water, cooks that off, starts the browning process. Anything that I've left on the duck or anything, bacteria-wise, it will just kill that a little faster. Just something I do. It's personal preference. So you're just going to take a small sheet of aluminum foil, because the one thing I hate, and I'm sure you do too, is for the ends of my legs to get singed and dry and to taste like an old shoe. We don't want that. So I'm just going to give a little aluminum sock to our duck. Well, I guess sock isn't fair. He doesn't have feet anymore, but you get the idea. Just going to wrap these up. And then I typically don't eat the tips of the wings. But if you want to, you could put aluminum foil on those as well. I will not. Now he is trying to droop, so I think I will put a little piece of twine on there. So here's my twine. I caught it when it was on the clearance rack. It never expires. It never goes bad. You're not going to eat this stuff. So if you can find it cheap, or you even have some non-plastic twine or rope or string, you can certainly use that. But this is actually made for cooking, but it's fine. Anything that's not going to put off fumes is perfectly fine. That's made out of actual plant materials instead of synthetic or plastic materials. Just going to open this guy up. It comes with this handy dandy little cardboard spool already. So we'll keep that on there. Just going to open it up. Get rid of that. And you just take, there'll be a little piece of tape on here to hold it down. You can actually leave that. Just take a little bit like that. Maybe a foot, maybe 8 inches. Not much. You don't need a whole lot. Cut it. Put that aside. And now I'm just gonna wrap his legs. I'm gonna wrap his legs at the aluminum foil socks. I don't want it to go into my meat. I don't want there to be any issue with that. Easier said than done when you're on camera here. Maybe I'll tie it first here. But again, super easy. Sprinkle whatever spices you want on your bird. Take it out, rinse it off, preheat your oven. Tie a poor knot because you're trying to do stuff too quickly. And pop it in the oven. Check on it periodically. Can't get any easier than that. Alright, let's tie it. Better not. It's getting silly now. But, you know, at least you guys can see I'm a real person. Alright, so I'm just going to tie it like this. Loop it up. If I'm not too clumsy. And then tie it off. There you go. We'll do one more loop just to be sure. There you go. And as the as the duck cooks, it will, the meat will start to firm up. So let's just get him on our procedure table a little bit better. The first half hour to an hour, I'm going to roast this with the top open. I may then cook it for a little bit with the top of the roasting pan on, and then the last 30 minutes to an hour, I will take the lid off to allow it to the skin to really get crispy. And even maybe tweak the temperature if I need to. So now we're just going to pop him in the oven. And we'll come back when it's done cooking. Thank you. And there's our bird. Something else I forgot to mention, if you do like a little sweetness on the skin, you don't want to use the orange sauce, maybe you have issues with sugar like I do, you can put some 7-Up or Sprite. You can put some Sprite or 7-Up, diet soda in a dish. You can brush the skin with that if you'd like. It'll give it a little bit of a sweetness. You know, if you find some type of orange juice that has low sugar, you can also do that. Brush the skin with that while you're roasting it. Just a couple tips. While we're waiting for our duck to finish roasting, why not air fry the excess skin that you had left over and make yourself a tasty, crisp snack. Just pop it in the air fryer till it gets crispy. And here's our finished duck right out of the oven. Now you'll want to let this rest for 10 to 20 minutes before you serve it to allow the juices to come back in. And you can hear it's got a nice crispy skin all around. And it's going to be delicious. Thank you all. Until the next time. Food is life.